So, hello, welcome back to Karborundum Quest. Now, what we have here, starting off, is a lovely little SSTO that I made. Basically because I have been playing an awful lot of Mass Effect Andromeda, and I quite like the way that they've sort of redone the ship for Mass Effect Andromeda. So this was my sort of homage to that brilliant ship. Bit iffy to fly with the tilted down wings, and having the engine sort of below the main centre of mass meant I had to do some strange grouping things to get it to work. But as you can see, I've got plenty of life support, a little crew module in there so that they've got a little while that they can spend on board. And I'm just using this for supply delivery straight up to the station. It's running a little bit low on supplies, and I can't quite seem to get the Davin supply mod to work with delivering supplies as well. So at the moment, this is the main way of doing it. And here we go, just bringing it back down. I spent quite a while making this one particular ship because I wanted to get it just right. And anybody that's used to throttle controlled avionics on the left hand side there. And the reason it's up is because of this. The one strange thing about the Mass Effect ships is that they can usually land vertically, as most ships in sci-fi can. So I thought I'd do this. I have not cheated with the fuel. I managed to get this. As you can see just there, the fuel is ticking down. It can take off, get to orbit and land vertically, only just. I have literally had it run out of fuel once. But now that the station is supplied with lovely supplies, we're onto the Karborundum harvester. This is now down close to its manoeuvre node to circularize around the sun. So just having a look at the orbit, tweaking it a bit, seeing what I can do with it, and then slowing it down. I've extended the collector, and as you can see on the top right, I'm already collecting Karborundum. Now, because this thing has one reaction wheel that's really weak, it's the one that's included in that centrifuge, it is a nightmare to turn around. And this burn was 10 minutes worth of a burn that I just sort of spliced there because, oh god, it was painful. And the other problem I'm having is I can't run this particular ship at any physics time warp because it can break apart. I uninstalled Kerbal joint reinforcement and everything fell apart, and it took a while to recover the save. So I've put that back in because it's absolutely essential for this ship. And then after the last episode and having my beautiful explosion, I spent a bit of time getting rid of all the debris because there was a lot of it. There was, I think, 30 pieces that were still considered crude pieces, and well over 100 that were just normal debris. And just for anybody that's curious, this is just all of the little probes that I've actually got in orbit. It's the reason my probes work so well is because I've got a ridiculous amount sort of boosted, and I've got one just there orbiting the sun. So now on to a little bit of randomness. I wanted a little runner that is nice and easy to get out to the station by Minmus and the moon. There isn't one by the moon at the moment, but just for future. So I played about with Lackluster Labs, something I've not used in quite a long time, and I managed to create this. The back end of it is lackluster. The front section is B9. The accommodation in the middle that you can see just now is from the SSTU mod. So this is just something, it's got enough to move a few people, enough Delta V to get out to the planets and back again, and it can haul out rovers and things like that when required. Anything that can sort of dock to the little docking nodes I've got there. So this was just something random I thought I'd play about with and put it into space. I did have problems, you can see just here, trying to actually inflate the SSTU modules. I don't know why they're not inflating. And I still haven't figured this out at the moment. It's got life support on it, but it doesn't seem to work. Now here, this is my lovely SSTO, nice big thing that I've created for launching heavier loads. Now this is just a test version, it's not what I'm happy with at the moment. It can't really carry that much weight. But it's got a few of the engines from the OPT mod, as anybody will notice. It's mainly made from the OPT mod and some procedural wings. And 3 mainsails for getting into orbit. That's how heavy it is. It's a sort of counterproductive thing. It costs way too much in fuel for what it actually can put into orbit. So I'm still fine tuning it. Again, some more solar panels from the SSTU mod. And at the moment this thing is actually just dropping some rovers up to one of the ships that's going to take them out, not rovers, some landers, sorry, that's going to take them out to Minmus. Now on this it has a separate function. I have one little Kerbal that has been annoying me for a long time. He is a tourist that came from nowhere. He didn't come from a contract, he just appeared. I think I actually rescued him. But he's a tourist, he's absolutely no use to me, and because he's a tourist you can't even delete him. So he's just sat there eating snacks and annoying the rest of the Kerbals. So we decided that it was time to do something about him, and basically take him up and throw him out an airlock. Now anybody that knows Kerbal will know that you can't do that, you can't get tourists to actually do anything. So when I was putting this up, I took 3 landers up instead of just the 2. As you can see here, I'm just undocking, and my measurements are ridiculously tight for getting these tiny little landers out. As you can see, there's a bit of the structure that's sort of come through, and I have to manoeuvre around about it. But everything's all good. These all of the crew modules in SSTU can be remote controlled. They have small antennas inside them, so they can just be remoted over and docked on their own. And as you can see, I'm using MechJeb to dock them just because it's easier. I was actually helping the missus while I was doing this, and I was running backwards and forwards. But here we go. Koboro, or whoever his name is what I'm transferring across. And the main pilot is my favourite pilot, is Orly, who I managed to get. He's a 4-star pilot, and he came with 3 stars, and when I landed him he got his 4th from rescuing him from orbit, so he's my favourite. I use him for almost everything. And there we go, Koboro is on to us. He knows that we are trying to kill him, and he has tried to sabotage the ship. So, because he can't do anything and I can remote control the ship, I just sent it out and into the atmosphere, and he is no longer a problem. Now this is a problem. Unfortunately, in his little bit of sabotage, he managed to blow the ass off the plane. This is sometimes a problem, and because I'm at this moment in time passing over my landing area, and he's taking one of the engines with him, which means I don't have any rotational control when I'm actually firing the engines, because they're balanced to work as 3. So I just try and do a little bit of burn to get this into the atmosphere, and hope that Orly can make it to ground. Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to make it to ground one way or another, but it'd be nice if he survived. Just dumping the monopropellant, dumping all of the last bits of weight that are being carried in the front. As you can see, it's got no fuel left. So dump the oxidizer, the monopropellant. And because of the shape of this thing, I really don't want to land it on water. So aiming for land and hoping above all hope. Luckily we have a bit of leeway, and this thing was quite a good glider. Most of my planes seem to be decent gliders. And the gear down, and hoping above hope. this is the point when I'm playing where usually everything goes completely wrong. But actually it worked perfectly. And this is full speed, this is exactly how it landed. It was absolutely brilliant. So there you go, even without the back end of the plane and missing most of the engines, we managed to get it back onto the ground. Thank you for watching my randomness, and I shall see you in the next episode. So I've included this as just a little bit of a random bloopers reel. Somebody was asking me about space planes a little while back. And the way that I actually do them is I design them, fly them a few times around about the place, try and shoot them up into orbit, then try and do a mission with them and bring them back. And this is just what you saw earlier of this space plane was my actual testing, but I happened to manage to do the entire mission on my first time out of the hangar. I managed to balance everything and get it working really well, which I was quite happy with. It's my second version of the plane, but with this particular version it was the first time out of the hangar. So once I managed to do the entire mission, I just tested it a little bit and played about with it. As you can see, it's got two sets of gears, it's got wheels and it's got struts, or sort of stands and a skid at the front. And with the fuel that I had left in it, I thought I'd just mess about with it. So this is for you to enjoy. This is just me. This is a regular test that I do, is I try and flip it over, run it forward and back, run out the fuel, test it empty, test it full, test it with cargo, test it without. And this was the first test. As you can see there, the sort of engines, there's two engines on the back fuselage, two in the back engines, and then two at the front as well, that are sort of merged into it to give it that vertical thrust. And then it has the four engines from, it's now the OPT Legacy mod. I still use this because the engines in that mod are my favourite for space planes. Yeah, they're a bit overpowered, but well, one of those things. So there you go, it's got the wheels so it can land on a runway if required. The main reason I did this is so that I've got a space plane, or this was the actual testing, so that I'd have a space plane that could actually make it to the moon and then land on the moon correctly. Everybody that usually does space planes for the moon or for Minmus has them either flying in for the landing backwards, landing on the gears and trying to brake on the surface, which works on Minmus on the flats but not on the moon, or coming in tail down again, coming in retrograde, and then at the last minute sort of flipping over and slamming the front end down onto the ground. And although I've used those methods, I want something that looks right. And what, as I say, playing Mass Effect, I thought, well, I wonder if I can sort of recreate that to a degree. And there we go, everything works. Now, as I said before, this is straight in the playthrough. So because I'd finished with what I was doing, I decided I'd mess about with fuel levels and see how it worked. And I was actually showing off at the moment, so there we go, we've got the yield hyper edit with the fuel levels. Just so that I can test the takeoff. I don't have a little refueler sat next to this. Also, I was testing it, so I figured hyper edit, why not? There we are, just using the good old VTOL controls, VTOL. And this is what I love about using throttle controlled avionics, is the fact that if you turn on extra engines, it will counterbalance between all your engines. And if you can see the engines at the bottom ones are actually pulsating very quickly, so it's turning them on and off where it can't get the regulated flow. It's just keeping everything balanced beautifully. This is just something I absolutely love. I think these things are great. and the OPT mod for space planes is just the best looking mod that you can get. It does look absolutely amazing. And here's where it goes all hysterically wrong. Now that little pause that you saw there was where I went, oh god, I've got to revert it, and then I thought, oh god, if I revert it I'll lose the entire mission. And as it happens, I survived. So yeah, that's how that mission went. See you next time.